Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another eventful week of Oakland Roots action. Welcome to the Roots Report, episode 9. I'm Daniel Poulter, beat writer, covering the Oakland Roots. And what a week it's been. But first, the Roots got a 0-0 tie on Saturday. That means only one thing.
Roots got a point.
Roots got a
Roots
point.
got a point.
Roots got a point.
Roots got a point.
Look at them go.
Roots got a point.
Roots got a point.
Roots got a
Roots
point.
got a point.
Roots got a
Roots got a
point.
Oakland Roots pick up a point in a week where I'm going to bounce around a little bit. But first of all, last Monday, after losing to AV Atla FC, the front office / owners decided to part ways with head coach Gavin Glinton, which we will be discussing a little bit. We're going to focus on what happened on Saturday first, and then we're going to circle back around to him. As always, make sure to like and subscribe this video. I appreciate all the love, and I appreciate you. Big hearts. All right, so they let go of Gavin Glinton on Monday. 7 hours later, I think, and Benny Feilhaber is the new head coach, former U.S. national team member, one of the top players in U.S. men's national team history, which is a low bar, I will say. U.S. national team has not been good in its history, but he is the new head coach of the Oakland Roots. And he is definitely different than Gavin Glinton. Definitely a little bit more upfront, just kind of like not forceful, but just like he's going to tell you what he thinks. And he's just going to let you know. That was very evident from that first press conference. We'll go over some video that I took this Saturday of that press conference, so you guys can get a little bit of an idea of the head man and how he talks and how he speaks. Let me bring up though the statistics from this Saturday's 0-0 tie against El Paso Locomotive FC, which is truly a mouthful of a team name. Okay, over here, this is our full game. El Paso. Key things to keep in mind coming to this game. The Roots were in 11th place. After this game, they are still in 11th place. Luckily for the Roots, everyone in the table above them, I think like 4 spots up all the way to 7th in the table, lost. So Roots gain on them, but don't gain that much. You didn't get even a single spot. But they were playing El Paso, who was the top goal-scoring team in the Western Conference, and the top. They were in 2nd place behind New Mexico coming into the night. I believe they're now in 3rd or / tied. Sorry for the light brightness. They are in 4th, tied 2nd through 4th with FC Tulsa, San Antonio, and El Paso. Let me see if I can bring back up this page. Awesome. Here we go. So the thing that was really interesting about this game is there's definitely a tale of two halves, which is very cliche, but it's true. The first half, the Roots were okay. Maybe should have gotten a penalty. They definitely clipped Luis Sinisterra's cleat, but he did get the ball. I could go 50-50. I know the Roots should have had they should have had a penalty this season. This was on the lighter end for me. I thought the ref let it go, and that's okay. That's unfortunate, but that happens. You're not going to get a gimme penalty every single game, and that kind of happens. But overall, El Paso was just kind of there. They played well, but I wouldn't call it great. They definitely score a lot. I think they had 6 goals this season in the last 15 minutes of games. So like we were up in the press box, everyone was kind of sweating at the end of the game, kind of seeing what was going to happen. But 0-0 tie. Key thing to keep in mind. During the North Carolina game a few weeks ago, Kendall McIntosh went out with a concussion. Today was his first game back, and you get a clean sheet. He may be the most important player on this team. Yes, need a goal scorer to kind of fully step up and to take that former spot held. I know a lot of fans still hold on to Johnny Rodriguez, who's now with Las Vegas, but keep in mind, Las Vegas this season has 7 total goals in, I think, 12 games. 12 games. They suck at scoring. He ain't doing anything in Las Vegas. So I'm not that narrative has always been kind of strange to me. I get because he was your goal scorer. It makes sense that you want, and then you're not scoring goals. You're like, our goal scorer is gone. But I think he would have been awful in this team, astronomically awful. But 0-0 tie. And the second half, second half, felt like a different team. Let me explain. Throughout the game, they were trying to, Oakland was trying to press, and it kind of worked, but through most of this first half, as you can see here, Locomotives had 57% of the overall possession. They had 6 shots compared to 4. It was just nothing was really happening. It was just kind of El Paso just kind of kept the ball and just kind of vibed with it. It wasn't really anything scary. There was a couple times you're like, hey, maybe that was a little threatening, but it turned into nothing. Second half, completely different story, in my opinion. Oakland aggressively pressing, but it wasn't the whole team. It's they know when to compartmentalize. That's not a word. Details. But it's like when the defenders, all the forwards are swarming. They get it close to the midfield. The midfield is swarming. They get it close to the defense. They're getting swarmed from both sides, from midfield and from the defense coming forward. They could not breathe in the second half. And it kind of turned into a thing where, and especially started seeing the passing runs, which we haven't really seen all season. And yes, it's very basic, but they were doing just really, really good and just like impressively well on the second half, which Coach Feilhaber talked about after the game and just where he was at. And it was very interesting to see. And like in the Gavin regime, if you got a 0-0 tie against one of the top teams in the Western Conference, he probably would have talked about the clean sheet more. He probably would have talked like that was, they didn't score, we didn't lose, everything is good. We did our job. We did it. We got the point. What we're supposed to do. We did all these things. The clean sheet's super important. And Coach Benny Feilhaber was frankly just like that should be it. Not that should be a given, but like he was like, I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to talk about how we could have finished so many things in the second half because they had. I think, let me see if I can bring it up here. Where is it? Here it is. Here's the stat I want to mention right here. 14. This is only the second half. 14 touches of the ball in the opponent's box, and you don't score once. That means 2 things. You're getting the opportunities and you're putting yourself, 3 things, I guess. You're making opportunities and making potential goal scoring opportunities. And 2, you ain't finishing those opportunities. But that could also be that, hey, the player doesn't know, especially with they're trying to work in these new systems and what they want them to do, that they're not used to being, I need to be right here because I know the ball is going to be right here. Bam. Or before it was a little bit more, I don't want to say loosey-goosey or just like player-oriented of them making it happen sometimes. It seems like a lot more cross, run into the ball, bam, into the net, goalie has no chance, you get the goal, you go home. Which is really interesting to see that in the second half, that's what they were doing, and I kind of like that. Let me see if I can bring up here his opening statements for everyone. And also this video will be up. Probably when you see this video, this will be up on the channel. This is the full press conference, every answer he had, not all the questions and downtime in between, but all his answers to questions. I do apologize for any breathing. I'm working on that. It's picking up stuff from my phone and stuff. So hold with me. We're doing things, but here, let's listen to the new head coach of the Oakland Roots.
Results, better than a loss, not as good as a win. We're playing at home, so obviously wins are crucial when we're trying to get back into the playoff race and climb up the ladder. So I give it a 5 out of 10 in terms of a draw.
So when he speaks there, I think if the Oakland Roots, there'd be many games. If Oakland Roots do not make the playoffs this year, which I do think they will, I've stated that throughout all these losing streaks and all the frustrations. 8 of the 12 teams make the playoffs in the West in both conferences. You should make the playoffs unless you are truly a bad team. And if they truly are a bad team, he's not back next season. And a decent amount of these players are probably not back this season, though contracts do suggest potentially being here. A lot of contracts go into next season. So a lot of these players may be around next season. So you got to kind of work with what you got a little bit. Though, the standings, I'll do some hopping back and forth here. Here's the standings in the West. Here you are, Oakland. Not great. 11 points. Thing is, though, Orange County and Sacramento and Las Vegas and Colorado Springs, I believe all lost last night. I think maybe Colorado Springs had a tie. I think they tied FC Tulsa. Let me see if I'm lying to you. No, New Mexico. I am lying to you. But there seems to be a clear separation here. 6th place, Monterey Bay. 19 points. Still very gettable. We still have, I think it's 19 games to go. Insanely gettable to get past Monterey Bay, Phoenix, this clump right here. But this is what you need to be targeting as fans. 13 points, 13 points, 12 points, 12 points, 11 points. You win next week against Colorado Springs, you're in the playoffs, most likely. As of next week's results withstanding. But you're back in it. If you beat the team that you should beat. And you need to beat. All right, let's go back to the stats. Let me some good stats. So all in total, 16 touches in the box. So that means you had 2 in the first half. Not good. Second half, very good. Let's go back to him and see what he says. Let's listen to the new head coach, what he's got to say.
Performance is a little bit easier to talk about. I thought first half was not good, and it was not good for one very simple reason. We couldn't complete passes.
I agree.
I thought the energy was excellent from the guys. I thought for the most part we were organized defensively. With a couple.
I think there's a chance he messes with the defense going in the next week. He really seemed to like Gagi.
Simple passes from A to B, and so when you're killing yourself defensively to win balls and put yourself in good positions to attack, but then instantly you give the ball back to the other team, it's deflating. And to be fair, I didn't think any of the guys slowed down, which is probably what kept us, at 0-0 at halftime. But it was very clear that was the one thing that we needed to improve on in the second half. I thought the subs came in and made a massive difference. I thought Jurgen was very, very good. I thought Gagi was very, very good. And look, I didn't think Julian and Maury played poorly, but Gagi was just cleaner with the ball in possession, finding the right passes. And I thought Jurgen, same thing. I mean, he provided us not only a lot of.
So I would not be shocked if Jurgen and Gagi start next week. Though Gagi could just be a super sub for Julian, which is still kind of weird because I think Julian is one of your best defenders overall for Oakland Roots. Things to keep in mind for this game, Babakai Najai and Babosi were both competing for their national teams this week, so they were unavailable. They were, I think, in Morocco competing for international competition for their 2 separate nations and were unavailable. I think Babosi 1,000% slots back into the midfield. The midfield, though, in the second half with Danny Gomez was not bad with Tyler Gibson. They did some really nice things in the second half, especially on their pressure. They kind of just got at it and they just kind of attacked the other team's midfield. This is one of the few games I said I truly believe. I think Oakland won the midfield this game, which people have watched this season. Maybe 2 games total. That's being generous, but Babosi's been absolutely amazing signing. Getting Kendall McIntosh back, fantastic. I'm intrigued to see what they do attacking. I'm not. This is probably my hottest take. I'm not fully sold on Luis Sinisterra with this structure of players. He's a good player. I don't think he plays enough defense. I kind of think he just does his little. I'm taking the ball too long, and like he's very good. But then if he gets beat or if it doesn't work, he kind of just gives up for 5 to 10 seconds. And that 5 to 10 seconds is a 2v1 in another position, and you lose the midfield. So a lot of times we're complaining about the midfield. I actually think it's him a lot of the times. And that may be a hot take. Not going to lie. That's a little spicy. Little spicy. But let's go back to the coach. So he says this is his opening statements. This was the first thing he said to us as a head coach. This is the first time the media got to meet him. It was after the game Saturday versus El Paso.
And that allowed us to grow into the game. I don't know what the possession stats were, but El Paso's a very possession-oriented team, and I'm assuming that we had vast majority of the possession in the second half. So it was a one.
Coach is semi-correct here. Let me bring it back. This is a game where it was close. Do you remember? Big in the first half. Second half, 54-46. Accurate passes. You love to see it. But only 3 total shots when you have 14 touches in the box. And that's not even shots on frame. It's just big fat 0. Oof. Oofa. 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 All right, let's let him talk for a little bit, and then I'll bring it back to some other shenanigans.
Creation. I thought we had tons of chances. Could have easily gotten one of them and turned a draw into a tie, a draw into a win. But performance-wise, I think it was perfect in the sense that we saw the bad and the good, and now we can show these guys the things that we need to continue to improve on and the things that are working well. I mean, the guys have been. I have 0 complaints from player 1 to player 21 or how many guys we have. Guys have been very welcoming. Guys have been very responsive.
This is definitely a little bit of coach speak.
Better. Obviously, you guys want to win. Every athlete wants to win.
It's like, what is he supposed to say? But they were bad this week.
I think the entire week of training and today in the game. So I couldn't ask anything more from them in that sense. I think that was something that we talked about. So I think normally on a normal week, right, when you have a team for a longer period of time.
Context for this question was kind of like how his week going up into this game was, because he got here Monday, and usually the players, you're able to do things, and this is him talking about just what they had to do this week. More context for you guys.
You're probably focusing on yourself about 70% and the other team 30. This week was probably closer to 90-10. I got to get to know the players. I got to get to know the guys. They got to get to know the way I want to play the game. We probably touched on El Paso for maybe half a day, right? I think it was mostly about, their organization, from how they press to how they want to build out. They're dangerous players on the field, but that was probably the extent of it. And the 90% was, how we want to do all those things. And to be honest, I would love to get to a point where we have less reactionary tactics and more an ideology of how we want to play and understanding whether, regardless if we're home or away or who we're playing against.
I think this is really important.
Style of play. Of course, the opponent always plays a factor in the game, but at the end of the day, you go into a game thinking, this is the way I like to play. I like to have possession. I like to create from the back. I like to create moments of pressing situations so the other team doesn't feel comfortable in possession. And again, I thought we did an excellent job at that in the second half. So it was really good to see that the guys picked up a lot of things. Only 4 days of training and game day. So there's a lot to be optimistic about. What's the appeal? Yeah, I mean, look, I think
The appeal of Oakland for him.
Positive things going for it, right? I think that there is a really good fan base. I think that there is a lot of positive growth within the organization. I think there's a lot of goals going into the next 3 years. Once there's the USL, is it League One that it's going to be called?
USL Premier.
So again, there's a lot of things that are attractive. The other part is I think that the roster is better than the performances. So for me, this is
I think a lot of Roots fans would agree with that statement. The talent's there in theory.
When you compare that to what I did at SKC2, it's night and day. And I've been waiting for this kind of opportunity.
So the night and day for him for Sporting Kansas City too, their development team, which he was the head coach of for a little bit, is a lot of times the head coach doesn't get a say in tactics or players at that level because the MLS side is either sending them players or telling them, the coaching staff, hey, we want you to try this with this player because we want him for the big club eventually, and that's what we want him for, not what you get to use him for, which is how training like teams work. Where Oakland Roots, he's a lot more able to be like, if he's able to keep this job, which we'll get to very shortly, because he's only signed to the end of this year, only to the end of this season. He does not have a long-term deal. This is a prove-it deal. Where he probably doesn't have the exact type of players maybe that he would want for his style of play. So he has to adjust a little bit, which is good coaching. You should never fully force, in my opinion, what you have onto players who can't play that style. And the question then becomes, what fully is his style? And he talked about it a little bit there, but I think he really likes a player who's extremely ball dominant, or not ball dominant, but just is able to be a two-way player while having crisp fluidity of the ball. And that turns into opportunities, especially having your defensive players be able to flow. Not saying this is a good thing for this game, but Hackshaw was the leading shot taker for this game. They didn't have Benny, but he's the one who got his foot to the ball the most, and he's your center back. So fluidity and where you're playing, kind of I think they're going to be attacking on multiple different angles and axes. So let's go back to what he's going to say here.
And this one felt right. I think that the players that we have fit a lot of the things that I want to try and do with them. And I think that the organization itself outside of the soccer field is one that has a lot of ambition, and so do I. So I think that makes a lot of sense for myself, and I think that's probably why they thought I made a lot of sense for the club.
You have for yourself.
Well, I can tell you the goals that I have for myself and for the club.
This is big.
I think
It's big.
one of the things that Oakland has struggled to do in the last 4.5 years in the USL Championship is have a true identity of how they play. I think it's extreme. I mean, I come from Sporting Kansas City, that anybody that watches MLS knows exactly how Sporting wanted to play, how Peter wanted to play. I want to have that, right? I want to have an ability to say, hey, that's the way Oakland plays, that's the way Benny coaches. Win, lose, or draw, the fans can understand what we're trying to do.
Everyone's going to understand Benny Ball, okay?
And educate other people of hey, this is the way Oakland plays. You're going to go to a game and you're going to see this. Yeah. And I think that's an incredibly important thing. And so, 18 games down the road, I hope that.
The question is, can he do that this season? Only time will tell.
Well or not, this is the way Benny played. This is the way Oakland's identity is, so that if I'm here further, after this season, that's what they can expect. And then from a results base, I mean, in American sports, playoffs always have to be the bare minimum, right? I think you put yourself
And like I said, they're only a win out of the playoff spot right now. Playoffs is
obviously 8 out of 12 is
you can't knock
a
it.
low bar for any team, but that's I think where it starts.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what kind of identity you have if you're losing every single game and not making the playoffs. So I would say that that's the bare minimum. But at the end of the day, I have bigger goals. If we can get this team playing more so like we did in that second half, I think we should have real ambitions of trying to get a home game in the playoff.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine a home playoff game at the Coliseum? That environment would be astronomically insane. That's a little ambitious for me. That should be the goal. That you strive for that to get the home playoff game. And then if you get the playoffs, then you're in the tournament and you see what happens. Last year with Colorado Springs, they came on super, super late in the season, came second seed, win the whole tournament, beat Oakland in the first round. But if they do get a home playoff game, Mamma mia. I can't wait for that to exist because that will happen eventually. That will happen. And that game will be historic in Oakland. Let's go back.
You have those goals.
What would you say is the imprint of Benny Feilhaber's system?
So I definitely have, a certain idea. But having said that, I am not the kind of coach that no matter what pieces I have, I want to play that way.
Yeah.
I just think that you have to have the pieces to play a certain way of soccer. And
all right, how I decode this statement, this answer, is if he does well enough, i.e. makes the playoffs, gets a contract extension, comes back next season, the offseason could be wild. That's my guess. This statement rings of, I don't have the players that I want. Go get me my players if I do well enough. And Oakland has the resources. They're one of the top teams in spending. They could technically probably spend more, but everyone, in the USL, you don't want to fold. So you margins, make sure you survive. I think they could go crazy. I want to make crazy. I mean, there could be a big transformation heading into next year. Massive, I think. Not that there's not talent or really good players, and we'll see how many of them fit, but I could definitely see them doing some rearranging come next offseason. But that's still a long ways away. Let's talk about this season.
if the pieces fit a certain other way, then I think that's my job to find out what way that is. Now, having said that, I think, I'm 1 week in, so it's not like I have all the answers, but I think that this team has the capability of playing more possession-based. I'm not a coach that likes possession for possession's sake. I think possession needs to create opportunities, chances, be entertaining, be dynamic in the final third. Defensively, I'm a coach that likes to put pressure on the other team in certain areas of the field. I don't want my guys on defensive moments of the game running around crazy and getting tired. I like my attacking players having the energy to play when we have the ball. So how quickly can we win the ball back? How effortlessly can we win the ball back? Let the other team kind of get into difficult situations before we start, squeezing them. Again, I actually really think that the second half painted a really good picture of what I hope this team looks like.
The second half was really nice. If they can play like that, they're a playoff team. They may be a high playoff team if they played like that for at least half the rest of their games. Whew. Spicy.
Video showing guys, okay, maybe we need to make these extra runs, or we need to find a more quality pass. So I think that to me is the part that I feel the most confident with, to be able to change those ideas, because that's the part of the game that I see so well. So again, I was really happy with the performance in the second half. I think that we can, have a little bit of a platform to build from there. I mean, a lot of the defensive.
All right, so the next thing I want to bring up here is a question I asked. So sorry for me sounding like a ding-a-ling, but very interesting and candid answer. Let's roll the clip.
A project that it's short term. I think that my guess, and I wasn't necessarily told this, but how many coaches has Oakland had in the 4.5 years in the USL? You guys would know better than me.
Number 6.
Oh, this was Kevin's question right before me. I do apologize.
A worry, right? You don't want to keep putting coaches in there for long-term contracts and not necessarily believing in them or, getting the right person. And for me, with the size of the project and the opportunity for myself to showcase what I can do, I thought it fit in for me as well. So my guess is, from the club's perspective, is we like what you've done, but come and show it, kind of thing. And then we'll see what the future holds. And for me, I'm totally okay with that too.
So the big thing here is like just super interesting, candid, just like he understands that this is potential short term. This is a prove it thing. The other thing that he told us in a question I asked him was, when did Oakland first talk to you? And his thing, not about being the head coach, but when they first started talking to him, was about 4 to 6 weeks ago, which is roughly around like the Orange County game, I believe, where now it's been coming out that there may be a little bit of a hot seat during that period of time, which is very interesting. Which is like, at this point, I want to kind of go back to Gavin Glinton. My big question is, why did they bring Gavin? If his seat was so hot when they brought him back, why did you bring him back? It clearly feels like they thought that this team was going to win immediately, and it didn't immediately win. And they've had 6 coaches in 4 years. And they keep taking the interim guy, and they're like, "Oh, you did okay at the end of the season, or you did enough. Here's another year," but you didn't give him a full year. Like, what was the point? And you decided the whole team around the system that Gavin Glinton wanted to play. But then you just immediately got hot feet and like cold feet and just got rid of him. Because like that's in like mid-April. The season had just started. Like what? Like I get you're losing. That's bad. No one likes that. You lost to some second division teams. Really bad. But I thought you could have waited a little bit longer. The season's still young. There's no going back now. So what are the Oakland Roots gonna do? Because if he has an okay year, if Benny Feilhaber gets them to the playoffs, they're the 8th seed. They get blasted by New Mexico in the first round. Do you bring them back? Or is this just another Gavin? We've had Gavin after Gavin after Gavin, where you keep firing this. Of course, this one did come from outside of the org. This wasn't just an assistant coach that you brought in. But at what point does the front office, you got to start asking a lot of questions of what's going on up there? The decision to sign one of your international slots, a super valuable slot that you're paying a lot of money to, a backup goalkeeper who's not good. Jürgen Damm is a good player. He's not probably what they paid for him out a good player, and especially as a right back, where they probably thought he was more of a forward, where he's really just a right back. There's a lot of money for a bench right back. That's pretty rough. But overall, I see a lot of positives. I see the potential. Let me see if I can bring up the Oakland Roots here for everyone. We're bringing it up, boys. We're bringing it up. So, what do we got here? Road game, Colorado Springs. In my opinion, must win. Yes, it's a new coach. Yes, there's gonna be things you're gonna lose that they're trying to put together. Colorado Springs is not good this year. If you think you are a playoff team, you go into Colorado and you beat them, or at least get a point, because these are the games you have to win. Birmingham, you go to Birmingham. It's a long flight. Should be a win, or at least points. The next one, home game against Monterey Bay. It is USL Cup. It's also a game that probably doesn't matter, except for pride. So this is a great testing game because you have to win this game and get a lot of help. And then you got to win the game, I think, against Vegas later in the year and get or versus Orange County. My apologies. Let me correct myself right here. Let me bring the screen down a little bit here. Orange County, Monterey Bay. In the Jägermeister USL Cup, it's the top team in the group heads out, and then the wildcard team. They have 1 point right now, and you're probably going to need 9 points to win a group or be the wild card. And right now, 3 of the other teams, Monterey Bay, Sacramento, and Las Vegas, all have 6 points. So you have to beat Monterey Bay. You have to beat Orange County. Not win in penalties. Beat in regulation. That's a tough ask. But back to the actual just regular USL. Detroit City, that's a rough one. Detroit's good. You play Phoenix, who's won 4 straight games, I think. Which is, they were looking dead in the water to start the season, and they're rising like a phoenix. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. But that's okay. And then Loudoun. These 3 games, this could make or break the season a little bit. Because like if you can come out of this with 4 points total, you get a draw and a win, I think you'd be ecstatic. That's not bad at all. But overall, let's go back one more time before we head out. Look at these standings. These teams, do you remember? All these teams have to play each other. Lexington, I think they're doomed. They're not out of it because, like, I'm not saying that the Roots are at 11, but, like, it's not good. It's not good. But I think Las Vegas is in a spiral. I think Colorado Springs is not very good. I think Orange County is not very good. Sacramento, you should have beat. Didn't. And then Monterey Bay. He's in a weird place. I thought earlier this season they were way better, but that could be one of those weird things where Monterey Bay shoots out at the beginning of the year like they did last year, and then just kind of doesn't do it. All winnable. But I'll see you next week after the Colorado Springs game. Make sure like and subscribe. I appreciate you all. See ya.